Today we're going to draw cartoons together. But before we do, I've got a little help from Alpha 1 over here, who's going to tell you a little bit about the undersea adventures of Captain Eli and what the workshop is all about. Take it away, Alpha 1.
Thanks, Jay. Created in 2007, The Undersea Adventures of Captain Eli is a popular graphic novel series featuring the young inventor, Captain Eli, and his vast sci-fi universe. For years, to spread the word about Captain Eli and to teach kids and families how to draw on their own creativity, Jay has been presenting the Cartoon Workshop to many schools and libraries throughout New England. Captain Eli is also the world's first comic book connected to a brand of soda.
Okay, what is that? A cat, right? Nope, it's not a cat. Though most people, when you show them this drawing, most people will say it's a cat. But have you ever seen in the whole wide world a cat that looks like this? No, cats don't look like this. In fact, it's just shapes, sort of like triangles, round shapes, dots, lines. This is a cat too, but it's an abstract cat. And you wouldn't know it was a cat unless you saw a little sign that told you it was a cat. So what's the point of this? The point is that when you draw cartoons, it doesn't matter how well you draw. It matters how well you get the idea of what you're drawing across to somebody else. So along those lines, I want to ask you another question. Let me do another drawing for you. I'm going to start out with two cartoon characters that kind of are almost identical, almost the same, but then I'm going to do something a little different. Add some more shapes. This is number 1 and this is number 2. So let me ask you this question. Between number 1 and number 2, which is the cartoon dog and which is the cartoon cat? Well, you know, when you ask a lot of people, most people say this is the cartoon dog and this is the cartoon cat. Is that what you thought? Well, the question is, why? Why do people see this as a cartoon dog and a cartoon cat? Well, let's take a look what's different about them. If we notice the dog's ears and the dog's nose and the cat's nose and the cat's ears are different. For the dog, they're circles. For the cat, they're triangles. Now, if I made a German Shepherd, cartoon German Shepherd with a pointy nose, pointy ears, right? So dogs have pointy ears and pointy noses. So why do we see that this dog with round ears and a round nose is a dog? Well, I got a theory about that. I think that shapes have personalities. So between these two shapes, which do you think is the friendlier? Yeah, what do you know? The circle. In fact, you might have even seen this guy around who's 3 circles. Doesn't look like a mouse, does it? But it's very, very friendly. Now, we know cats are just as friendly as dogs, right? So why do we still see this as a dog and a cat? Well, if you own a dog and own a cat, you might know what I'm talking about. If you leave your dog home all day and you come home to see your dog, is your dog always happy to see you? Usually. In fact, all of the time. Very, very happy to see you. When you leave your cat at home, well, when you come home, your cat's not always happy to see you. So they have different personalities. So these shapes actually match up to their personalities more. I actually think, too, it has to do with claws. Dogs have claws and cats have claws. But who's always using their claws? The cat. So the cat's a little more sharp. So this is what cartoonists are thinking about all the time. They're thinking about shapes everybody uses and everybody knows, like circles and squares and triangles. Thinking about the personalities these shapes have to create other personalities. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the next segment.
And now, let's get ready to draw. You will need several sheets of paper and a pencil and an eraser. Grab your supplies. We'll wait.
So So now that we figured out that shapes have personalities and cartoonists use these shapes to create other personalities, we're going to do that right now. We're going to draw a cartoon character together. But we're actually going to draw a character that's pretty well known and pretty well recognizable. Actually, it's a character that I've seen in all sorts of movies. I've seen this in live action. I've seen the character even as a puppet, as a Muppet on Sesame Street, in fact. The character we're going to draw is Count Dracula. So when you think of Count Dracula, what's a simple shape everybody knows that you'd associate with Count Dracula? Triangle, maybe? Yeah, think about it. Most everything about Dracula is kind of triangular. He's got triangular teeth, triangular hair, triangular ears. He could have triangular eyes. He could even have a triangular head. So that's what we're going to do right now. Take your pencil, grab your paper, and right in the middle of your paper, I'd like you to draw a big upside-down triangle, just like that. Now, a lot of young artists ask me about drawing characters, and they say it's really, really hard, once we've drawn the character once, to draw the character over and over again. Well, I'm going to show you something that's going to make this character very easy to draw over and over again, and you'll be able to teach other people how to draw it if you remember where these lines go, and they're called guidelines. So right down the middle of your triangle, we make a dotted light line. Now, the reason that's dotted and light is you're going to erase that later. But if you remember where they go, you're going to be able to redraw this character over and over and over again. Okay, now that we have the center guideline in, let's put in our next guideline. So from the top of the head to the bottom of the head, sort of halfway, kind of guesstimate where halfway is, put in another horizontal guideline. And this is going to be the eye guideline. Next step, we've created a triangle, much like the one we started with, and we're going to cut that in half with a dotted line, and that's the nose guideline. Look, what do you know? We created another triangle. So we're going to cut that in half, and now we have a mouth guideline. Now, if you blur your eyes, you can almost see a face starting to appear right here, even in your own drawing. This is going to be like a blueprint now, sort of like a house, so we can build the character around the guidelines. Okay, the first detail we want to put in are the eyes. And the eyes are going to be two triangles. They're going to look like this. I'm going to draw them up here first. They're right triangles. They're called right triangles because they have a right angle, which is a 90-degree angle, which looks a lot like the letter L. So we're going to go into the eye guideline and draw a letter L, close it off, that's one eye, go to the opposite side, close it off, and now Dracula has two triangular eyes. Let's go on to the nose. The nose is like a triangle we started out with upside down, but if we take the top off, it also makes the letter of the alphabet, the letter V. So we follow the center line down to the nose line, and where they meet, we're going to put the point of a letter V, kind of like that. Next step is the mouth, and the mouth is just the same as the nose. It's a letter V, but a little wider and a little larger. So we follow the center line down to the mouth and put in a larger, wider letter V. Now, I think when we think of Dracula and associating with triangles, the first thing we think of is his fangs, of course. So let's put in his fangs, and those are two triangles, each in the corner of his mouth. Now, he looks kind of goofy to me here. It kind of looks like he has buck teeth, almost like a rabbit or something. And we don't want that. We want to get the right idea across. So to make his mouth look a little bit more three-dimensional, starting at the halfway point of this tooth, I'm going to draw a line all the way down to my center line again, and then go back up to the other center point of the other tooth. So now it looks like his mouth is open. But if I continue that line, pretend it went right through his tooth and went up to the corner of his mouth, like that, we create something called overlapping. Now, overlapping is a really, really important art word because overlapping is sort of the first step in making things look three-dimensional.
Overlapping, covering with a design in which one element covers a part of another.
And the more you make things look three-dimensional, the more real things look to the viewer. Okay, so let's go on to Count Dracula. He's going to need two triangles right in the middle of his eyes, being his pupils. Now I want you to take your finger, put it where your eye is, put your thumb where your nose is, drag across the side of your head. What do you bump into? Your ear. And look what we did. We created a space for ears. So we're going to give him pointed ears. Make a point, curve down to the nose, make a point, curve down to the nose. Could this be an elf? Sure. But you'd probably want to add some more friendly shapes like circles. Exactly. Okay, so he needs something on his face that's really going to help to show emotion. What do you think that is? Yeah, eyebrows. So we're going to put 2 lines, 1, 2, each going with the direction of the eyes, but they are not fancy enough for me. I want to make something I call Batman eyebrows, and I'll show you in a second why I call them Batman eyebrows. What we're going to do is put 2 lines, 1, 2 on the inside of the eyebrow, and then 2 little lines, 1, 2 on the outside. And look what we get, this zigzag shape, right? And it kind of looks like a bat. Let me show you something that's really, really cool about eyebrows and why they really do show emotion. Right up here, I'm going to draw 2 smiley faces. Pretty much look the same, but when I put in eyebrows, big, big difference. He's happy and he's up to something. So eyebrows can tell you actually more about what your character's thinking than even the mouth. That's why it's always good to have a mirror on hand and look at your own face and make your own emotions and see how you react, and then you can give those emotions and details to your own character. Okay, let's finish up Dracula. So for his hair, we're going to make a big triangle, starting at this corner of his head, go all the way down to the center line, and then go all the way back up to the top again. And there's the top of his hair. It kind of looks like a cone, doesn't it? Like it's 3D, like it's hollow, like we could throw stuff down the top of his head. Well, we don't want that. We want to fix that. So what we're going to do is give him some hair, 2 triangles, starting here, ending at the ear, 1 triangle like that, and then another triangle like that. So he's almost done. His chin's way too pointy to me. So instead of rounding it off, all I'm going to do is if I was making a capital letter A, and now I've made a little beard. He's got a little goatee. Almost done. He needs a collar to his cape, and that's very triangular. So I need 2 triangles to connect there, but I got to have it connect to something. So I'm going to give him a tie, and I'm going to throw in my first new shape, which is a circle, and then 2 triangles on each side. Kind of looks like a piece of candy rolled up. And then I can put in my 2 triangles, starting at the midpoint of his hair, line going out, connect it back to the tie, do the same thing on the other side. Congratulations, you've just drawn Dracula. Now it's at this point that you can go in and erase the lines you don't need anymore. Let's see what we get. That's clean enough. I think something kind of funny happens. It looks like the drawing was already there. Look at your own drawing on your own paper. It doesn't look like it took time, or it doesn't look like it was built. It looks like it was just there, like most of the cartoons that you see in comic books and in animation. Okay? So the idea I want you to take away from this is that things just don't appear on paper. It takes a little time, it takes a little work, and it takes a little bit of thinking about what you're going to draw ahead of time and the shapes that you want to use. So we're going to draw another movie monster together. This is a very recognizable monster. He's, I think, my favorite monster of all time. It's Frankenstein. So when you think of Frankenstein's head, what's a shape everybody knows that you'd associate with Frankenstein's head? Square? Rectangle? Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to start out, grab a new piece of paper, and make a big, tall rectangle with a small rectangle underneath. Now, what I want you to keep an eye out for here is how we use guidelines and how we start using other shapes. When we made Dracula, we just made it pretty much with triangles. We're going to start throwing in other shapes, and we're also going to start playing with the idea of guidelines. Sometimes it doesn't always apply. Things change. So Frankenstein's a good example of that. So where are we going to put Frankenstein's eyes? Should they be in the middle of his head, up high, or a little low? Well, let me show you something. I'm going to draw 3 cartoon characters. I'm going to put the eyes in the middle, the eyes too high, and the eyes too low. Let's see what we get here. I got a person. I got Bigfoot. And I got an alien. So where we put the eyes really does matter. So of these 3 characters, which character is Frankenstein most like? Yeah, Bigfoot. So Bigfoot's eyes are a little higher. So we're not going to put them in the middle. Let's imagine our rectangle is cut into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go down 1/3 and draw a straight line for the eye guideline. Now you can see I didn't make it a dotted line, and I didn't make it light. That's because you're not going to erase that line. So just keep that right there. Now we can start throwing in other shapes. Let's put in his eyes. 2 half circles with 2 more half circles inside for the pupils. Let's give him a nose. Now he doesn't need a guideline to put in his nose. We know the nose is going to go right below his eyes. So we're going to put in a rectangle for his nose. His nose isn't fancy enough for me. I want to make it a little more interesting, so I'm going to put 2 squares on each side. Okay? Now his mouth, going up from the bottom of his head, up 1/3, just a straight line, we have a mouth. You think this could be a robot? Sure. Because most people aren't made out of rectangles, and if you make somebody out of rectangles, they're going to look like a robot. So we need to make him look more like Frankenstein. Let's give him some more bits of character here. 2 little lines on the edges of his mouth, sort of make a frown. While we're there, let's give him a chin, a rectangle without a top right below his mouth. And I love it when a little line can do a lot of work. Just put in a little line right below his mouth, and now it looks like he has a shadow under his lip. So if we put our finger where our eyes are, thumb where our nose is, drag across, we hit our ears, right? So now we know where his ears go, between the nose and the eyes. Half circle, just like his eyes, like that, with another half circle inside, just like his eyes, right? Now, ears and eyes don't look alike, but see, they're almost the same shape. But where they're organized, we see 2 ears and 2 eyes. Does this look like Frankenstein? Not yet. He needs some details. So one of the most important detail, I know you're thinking, oh, put in the bolts and the scars. We'll get to that. But one of the most important details to put in first is his hair. And that's very distinct with everybody, is the hairline. So put in a triangle, another new shape, and then repeat that triangle all the way across, like that. And you get something called a pattern. Basically, pattern is when you take one shape or any kind of image and repeat it over and over and over again to create a larger shape. And people are very attracted to patterns. So when you put a pattern in your drawing, people are attracted to it.
Pattern, a repeated decorative design.
Okay, so he needs some details. And bolts, 2 rectangles coming off his neck like that. Put another rectangle on top, makes a T shape. Now he's got bolts. And scars. You can put these wherever you want. Just don't put too many in there. Otherwise it looks like he ran into that cat we drew before. Now this is where we can get a little tricky with things. Let's go back to his eyes and put in quadruple, dark, thick lines under his eyes. Look what happens. He looks really grim. Now let's go back to the eye guideline and let's see why we made that a straight line. Right here at the ear, right above, we're going to make another half circle, starting at the eye guideline, cutting into his head like that, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now watch this. Erase the line that got stuck in the middle, and look what we get. Now he has a very bony brow and his eyes have receded back into his head. Congratulations, you've just drawn Frankenstein. We're going to take a little trip. We're going to go to Oak Street Studios right here in Portland, Maine, and we're going to work with the students there and figure out where do ideas come from with a scribble. Okay, who else help me do a scribble? Okay, how about you? All right, come on up here. Now here's the way it works. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. I want you to clear your mind. Don't think of anything. I'm going to count off 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, stop. And I want you to scribble. And you can use the whole board and do whatever you want, but don't think of anything. Just a scribble. Ready, set, go. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, stop. Excellent. Give him a hand. Wow. Interesting. What do we have here? Well, I can't help it. Well, here we go. We got, what do you know? Right? And we can do that for Valentine's Day. Who's next? How about you? Come on up. All right, here you go. You got 3 seconds. I'm going to count off 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, stop. Ready? Clear your mind. Ready? And scribble. Go. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, stop. Excellent. Give me a hand. Ooh, okay, well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nice. Not bad.
Not bad. Thank you.
Not terrible.
Not terrible. Not great, but there you go. Did you expect that? No. Who's next? Yes. Ready, set, go. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, stop. Awesome. Give me a hand. Jeez, what do we got here? Well, here's the thing. I got to draw what I first see. I see a bunch of different things, but I'm going to draw what I first see here, and it just makes this really nice hat. So I can do, yeah, that kind of weird looking guy. Okay, you're next. So that's the thing, you don't have to use all the lines, right? And you can draw around the whole thing, but you should get sort of an inspiration from one of the lines. Ready? Set, go. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, stop. Excellent.
Baseball.
Wow. Well, I got to do it because what I see right away, I got another.
Oh, come on. Another dinosaur.
Yeah, I got another dinosaur.
That's the same one.
Basically. Or like a triceratops, maybe. Okay. Ready, set, go. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, stop. Okay, well, so this is a taller one than usual. So let's see what we can do with it. Yeah, I kind of see that. I almost saw, I couldn't help it. I see turning this into a Viking ship.
I thought they were going to be like an oil carrier ship, like the front of a ship where it was like this.
Well, you know what? Since you guys are starting to see stuff in these, you know what I think it's time for? It's time for you guys to do some scribbles too. Let's get out some paper. Hold your pencil in a way you don't usually hold it. So if you hold it like this, maybe hold it like that. Whoops. Go. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Stop. Excellent. Now, take those scribbles and exchange them. Trade. If you don't see something right away, if you rotate the paper, you actually have 4 different scribbles. So let's see what you get. And remember, the big thing here to remember is you don't have to use the whole scribble. You can use just one line. You can erase lines, and you can add lines. What'd you make?
A butterfly.
What'd you make?
A snake.
What'd you make?
A superhero.
What we got?
Fat macaw.
Neat. What'd you make?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. What'd you make?
A turtle.
Hold it right there for a second.
So that's it from Oak Street. Good job, guys. Bye. Thanks. You know, when I do the scribble art for different kids, I always ask this question. Did anybody just make the best drawing they made in their entire life? And of course, we get some giggles and laughter, but occasionally people raise their hands. Sometimes all of them raise their hands. And I like to tell them why I think they made the best drawing they ever made. And I think they made the best drawing because the pressure was off. They weren't worried about making a great drawing. They weren't worried about making a drawing that made any money or got a good grade. They were relaxed. And that's where ideas come from, your imagination when it's relaxed. So remember, the creativity is inside you, not on the paper. Just keep on drawing. I'll talk to you soon.